Um, so today I'm going to talk about the identity initiative that we've been doing for the university. I'll talk a little about the background for this. I'll talk about why we're doing this, the strategy behind it, the process for how we got to the final designs and design architecture, and then I'll show you the designs and where we are. So actually, this was an initiative just to bring people up to speed. In case you didn't know, this was something that actually started before I got here. It actually started before President Daniels got here. It was at the last year of the prior president's tenure here, and so a lot of work was done on it. A lot of interviews were done. There was design work done. Then the new president came in. It was put on hold because you want your identity to align with the direction of the university. So it wasn't the right time to pursue it. Then I came in a year and a half ago, and around a year ago, we started. The president asked us to pick up this initiative and get it done. The timing was right. So I'll run you through exactly the work that's been done over this last year. The first thing we did actually was put together a branding committee. So that was all the marketing and communications directors from across the entire university, and we've all been working together on this for a year, and it's been a very collaborative process, and with a lot of good work in it, and a good result in the end that I'll show you. So first thing is, what is an identity initiative? Really, this is about marketing communications. We're not changing anything official in terms of the name of the university. It's still the Johns Hopkins University. We're not changing any official mission or vision statements. This is about how you go out and identify yourself as a university in the marketplace. This is about logo design and logo architecture. The point of this, the goal of this, is to bring consistency across the entire university in terms of our logos, and I'll show you in a little bit where we are right now with it, but the main goal is to bring consistency to a look that really is quite inconsistent right now and doesn't say excellence. And really what we're trying to do is put together a design and architecture that says excellence, which is really what Johns Hopkins University stands for. And then by doing this, we actually leverage our strengths better. We don't do a very good job of leveraging our strengths in terms of defining the entire university. This is one way for us to start doing that. This is not the only way, but certainly a good start. So when you have consistent-looking logos, you align better the strengths of the university name, which is where we gain credible reputation with the Johns Hopkins name, but also the leverage the strengths of the individual schools and divisions, which are really strong in their own right. So when you do it properly and do it together, it's really a win-win situation for everyone. We all come out stronger, which is really a big goal of this initiative. So is it possible to do this in a highly decentralized environment? The answer is yes. Other universities have done this. This is not uncommon. This is just a few of the universities, and there's a lot of words on the screen, but basically they're all saying the same thing, that if you have unrelated visual identities, it doesn't serve the interest of anyone throughout the university. The whole point is to leverage strengths, and that's really what these three universities are saying over here. This is what other universities have said, and it's just something we haven't done before and are doing now. So in some sense we're playing catch-up, but I think what we'll be surpassing is at the end of this, in terms of how we've done it, I think actually we actually surpass these other universities. So why are we doing this? This is a quote that was given to us. I have a few of these throughout this presentation. I said before, we've done a lot of interviews during this initiative, both when it first started years ago and when we picked it up again this year. We've done many more interviews. When President Daniels put out the email at the end of November of last year announcing this initiative, and we asked people to go to the identity website and give us their elevator speeches describing Johns Hopkins University, we got hundreds and hundreds more. So we have lots of good information to work from, lots of good quotes. We try to pick some that actually are representative of what people were saying. So this is one of them. This little sense of self has that manifests itself. This is the current state of our logo. We call it the non-strategic approach to logo architecture. We're pretty much all over the place. This is just a product of being a decentralized university that has no identity guidelines whatsoever. Basically, people rightfully just did what they wanted to do, what they thought were the best designs, without any understanding of doing something that aligns with the tiny university, because that wasn't really the goal back then, which it is now. There are some good news that they all try to align with the Johns Hopkins name, because that's where the real strength in the brand comes from. So that's good, and we continue to obviously do that in the new designs. But basically, it's a mess and it's all over the place. So this is another quote that captures many people's feelings. It's true. Basically, when people hear Johns Hopkins, they'll think of medicine, which in one hand is excellent. Medicine is well-branded organization. They're out there a lot. They're well-known. They do great work. It provides a great halo effect for the university. But it also hurts the university in that people don't fully understand what Johns Hopkins University is. Right? So they don't know about SICE being number one, or public health being number one, APL. We just found out that the School of Education is ranked number 2 by U.S. News. And all these great strengths that we have here at the university, people don't really know that. So really a part of this is again, leveraging those strengths, and how do we have people to understand the full breadth of the university, in addition to the fact that, yes, we are strong in medicine, but we also are strong in all these other areas. And that's really an important part of what we're trying to do over here. So the strategy is pretty simple. In terms of just division and school-wise, we're 12 strong. We're stronger than that, but we're just more. We're a comprehensive university with a lot of strengths, and we really need people to understand what our full story is. So let's go through the process. Whenever you do identity work, you really need to start to know what your story is, because your identity has to align with your story. If your identity doesn't tell your story, then you didn't do a good enough job. So we looked at all the quotes that people gave us, the hundreds and hundreds, and there was many of them. And these are just a few that are representative of the ones that were given to us. And after a while, the good news is the story starts sounding alike. And when that happens, you know you've hit upon what your story is. So what we did was we took all of these interviews, all the feedback we received, and we put it through a word cloud to see what are the keywords that resonate with people when they told us their stories. And this is the word cloud that resulted. So the big words that come out of this are world and research. The people are important, excellence, knowledge, community. These are big words. These were big descriptions that people gave us that they describe Johns Hopkins University. So what we wanted to do is be mindful that these were key words for us to think about as we were designing the identity work, to make sure that the identity work tells the story that this word cloud, the big words that are in here. So design architecture. So we followed several principles for logo design. These are really important because this really does define how we came up with the final identities for both the university and for the schools and divisions. So form and function are both important. That means that anything we design, we could have designed the best looking logo in the world, but if you can't use it, it's useless. So we have to make sure that anything we design can be used in both print and digital, large, small in particular, because a lot of the work that we do, these logos are used in a smaller size, which means basically you want to do simple logos. You don't want anything too complex. The Johns Hopkins name is consistently presented. That's obviously very important. We use an overbrand strategy, which basically means the Johns Hopkins name sits on top in nice big bold, and then all the schools and divisions fall underneath it, closely linked together in a nice tight package for a logo. The visuals must tell our story. Again, that we got to keep those words in mind that were part of the story that people told us. And then we asked ourselves, as we sat around with this branding committee, it was like, well, what visuals represent the entire university? And there really isn't anything other than the university seal, because no one disputes that as part of Johns Hopkins, we're all part of Johns Hopkins University, and the university seal is the official seal of the university. And that was really the only thing that cut across the entire university, because this is a university initiative. So we said that people know the seal. It has been with the university a long time. It's part of the legacy. So what we said was we'll base the new identities on the university seal, but make a more simplified version. There's nothing revolutionary about this whatsoever, but it's appropriate for what we're trying to do here at Johns Hopkins University to get this university initiative out. And then the last part of this is just in terms of flexibility. That was a big part of this as well, because we also learned during this process that there are schools and divisions that have current logos that are beholden to them. For instance, public health, Peabody, and medicine, and APL. And so we said during this process, we learned that it was important that these schools are able to retain that iconography in the new architecture. So what we had to do is build a flexible architecture, but one that still allows us to have consistency throughout, which is the goal of this initiative. So I'll show you how we accomplished that in the end. So another part of this is kind of like my own personal campaigns. It's my version of the Sierra Club, I guess. It's called Save the Seal, right? So what do I mean by that? So here's our happy graduate holding a Johns Hopkins diploma. This is great. The university, the official seal of the university is on it the way it should be. And then we have the official seal on garden trucks and all over. It's used on carpeting. It's used on a bunch of different ways. And that's just a product of the fact that we have no branding guidelines whatsoever. So people have taken the seal to be the logo for the university, which really isn't. It's official seal of the university, something that should be elevated to a high status to be our diplomas, official business, things like that. But because we didn't have any kind of guidelines or any kind of a logo usage guidelines, people just take the seal and plaster it on everything. So a part of this is to say to people, the seal is not going away. The seal is just being elevated to its rightful status as the official seal of the university. And if you want to do this kind of stuff, then go use the new logos, because that's what logos are for, not the seal. So that's the Save the Seal campaign. So let's go through design. So here's the seal. Again, the work that we did on the design is going to be grounded in the seal over here. So it's a very complicated seal, but this is it. So just some key aspects of it. You have the books on top with the globe. You have the crest of Lord Baltimore, the Crossland crest. You have the motto there, the oak leaves in the background. You have the football shape, the words within the football shape. Then you have all the colors, so it's a very complicated seal. And really, so what we're trying to do is say, how do we take something like this and make it usable in a common everyday logo for the entire university and for the schools and the division. So what I'm going to run you through now is some of the iterations that we looked at in this process, in this long process, in this process that took just for the design itself a good 6 or 7 months, and show you some of the design that we looked at to get to the final designs. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but it will give you an understanding of kind of the process that we went through. So here's our first shot at simplifying the seal. The left side is a more conservative version of it. The right side is a more simplification just in terms of the shield. We tried to stylize the book. That's the upper left-hand side. On the upper right and lower left, you see that we did not fill in the shield. That was our attempt to say that our discovery is boundless, because that was one of the things that people did say when they were describing Johns Hopkins University. There's no limits on the things that we can do and the discovery that we bring to humanity. So that was our attempt to say, how can we incorporate that kind of language in a logo if we even can. So that was our attempt to do it by not filling in the shield over there. The Johns Hopkins font on both sides are just different versions of Garamond. The current version of the Johns Hopkins font is Garamond, but it's kind of like squished and stressed out Garamond. So we tried to be a little relaxed and say, let's stretch it out a little bit. Let's make it a little more relaxed version of it. The color, we just started here with a light blue, which is not a good color for a logo, but this is where we started. This is one of the few places where people disagree on what the university colors are. So that's something that we will revisit later on. But these were our first attempts at simplification. We took this out to a bunch of people, showed them, got great feedback. The majority of people, clear majority of people, liked the shield version better. It was just simpler. Weren't so hot on the look of the book, and weren't so hot on the fact that we left the shield open. Didn't quite get that. The cross was an issue. But for the most part, they liked that better. That was the direction that we went in. So we take it to a couple of rounds later, and we come up with this version now. So what we did was we darkened this to a dark blue. This is a color blue that actually other schools within the university are using. It aligns with the color blue that medicine uses. The health-related schools use this as well, and there are some others. So it's a nice, dark, rich blue. It's not uncommon for Johns Hopkins University. It does make the mark stand out more. So then we have the book on top there. We still stylized it. we have the crest of Lord Baltimore, and then we have the world, but we still left it open and said, let's see if this works, if people get it any better if we try it this way. So we took this out, showed it to a bunch of people, got great feedback on it. People liked it better, still weren't sure about the book, definitely did not like the leaving the frame open with the globe. It looked like the globe was about to spin out into outer space and just go away. That's probably not a good thing. They asked also, they felt the shield looked a little flat. Can we do something about that? But the good part about this round was people liked the story. And that's what we asked people, what does the story say? And again, going back to the words that we had in the word cloud, this is the story of Johns Hopkins. It's knowledge, discovery, education is above all else that we do, and we bring that to the world, and we're proud of our connection and our roots to the Baltimore community. That is the story that we wanted to tell, and this is the story that this identity starts telling, and people got that, and people appreciated it, and felt that we were in the right direction. So we worked off of this to try to tweak things. We tried to do some new globes, but a globe is a globe is a globe. We started looking like different airlines. That didn't help, but these were just some of the ones that we looked at. We looked at a bunch of others, small, large, whatever. Nothing was working out really well. We looked at some new books. We started out with the spider-looking thing on the upper left, went to the bird-looking thing on the upper right. The lower left kind of looks like a mustache-looking thing, and then the lower right looks like eyebrows. So we were still going to look at how to do more of these designs because these weren't working. Then we looked at the giving some dimension to the shield itself, which meant basically we closed it off finally. We gave up on leaving it open, and which allowed us to reverse out the globe, which actually makes it stand out better. And we also rounded the shield more. We added those lines into it just to give it more dimension. And it sits much less flat than the other one on the left side does. We left the book as it is, but that wasn't working. So we try to look at some just standard books because that was going to work better. And here are several of those, and we really end up on the one on the bottom, which works the best. And in terms of looking like a book, and actually, again, it's about form and function, something that works, whether it's large or small or digital or print, the one on the bottom worked best. So then finally, we also looked at color because that's important. And again, colors is something that just is not agreed upon and just for the university. But you have the academic colors, which is the upper left side over there, and gold just is a very difficult color to use for a logo. It comes out looking different depending on the application. It's very difficult color to use for it, just not working well. The upper right, it's not our university colors. It just does not look good. The gold just does not look good at all. Then on the lower left-hand side, we decided, well, let's try to throw in all the colors of the official seal and see how that looks. So that's what that is over there. Very complicated, not usable. You start looking like other universities that's not us. That's not working. And when we tried doing the undergraduate colors on the lower right-hand side, and again, it was just too complicated. We just knew that we had to do something that was simple and would work well. So here is the final design that we came up with. It's in that darker blue. It's the shield tells the story of the university, as we said before, and it's been showing this around, getting very positive feedback on this. People actually really like it and feel that it's a good representation. It harkens back to our roots as Johns Hopkins University, but it's also something that's more modern, that's something that works well for now and in the future. So we've been getting some great feedback on this. This is just a stack version of the logo. We will also have a horizontal version of it as well. And the colors that we're going to use is the dark blue, black, and a reversed out version, and that's it. It's nice and simple. They're clean and they work well. And people could bring in colors, just whatever they're designing, bring in colors that way. But in terms of the identities themselves, those will be the three colors that we will offer it in. So the next part of it is that's for the university. Now it's the architecture. How do we put this all together to show consistency throughout the university? So the schools and divisions that wanted to align with the university better, that didn't have their own graphics, will take on the university graphic. And then you start seeing how the consistency starts coming into place now. So you have the university graphic on top. You have the Johns Hopkins name, nice and bold underneath it, and then you have the school or division aligning nicely underneath the Johns Hopkins name. So it's a nice symmetry, and it's a nice consistency throughout all of the schools. Then for the schools that wanted to keep their own iconography, we worked that in by putting that iconography within the framework of the shield itself. So you can see that these aren't final examples. We're still working with the schools on some of these, but this is pretty close to the final. But again, you can still see there's a lot of consistency here in terms of the framework and the architecture. And so what happens then, in putting it all together, so then you have the before shot, right, the sad before shot, oh, this is where we are, non-strategic, doesn't show excellence, Johns Hopkins University is much better than this. Then you get to that and you get to this, and you start seeing an architecture that really does represent Johns Hopkins University as a high-quality, world-renowned university that it is. So that's my presentation on it, and we are working on guidelines right now for these. And so some of the guidelines are departments within schools. We're coming up with guidelines for that. Interdisciplinary institutes and centers, we're coming up with guidelines for that as well. And there'll be other guidelines that will be coming also in terms of geographic locations. And really the geographic locations, what we're suggesting is use the university logo, and then you put the geographic location as words outside, with the university logo, but not as a lockup. Because the whole point of this, to show consistency, is try to reduce the amount of logos that are out there. And by using the university logo and then just using the words, whether it's at Montgomery County campus, however you want to put it, we're doing the same thing with Keswick and the other locations. Really what we're saying is you don't need separate logos for that. Use the university logo because that's going to define and get the university name out there better with the consistency. But then you could use whatever location it is and connect it with it, but not in its own separate lockup. It's out mid-April, and it's going to be a soft rollout. And what we're saying to people is we're not expecting everyone to start throwing away all their business cards and all their brochures and start recarving stone and doing all that. This is just the start of a very long process. Could take a decade. But what we're saying to people is places that you can use it, where at the beginning with minimal cost implications, maybe the website, then let's start there. And then as you use up materials and start developing new materials, then start including the new identities on the new materials. So that's why it's a process that's going to take a while for us to do, and the launch itself is going to be a very soft launch. We'll let people know we've done it, but most likely initially what you'll see is the logos being used on websites for now, and eventually we're going to have new business cards, templates for business cards, templates for stationery, things like that. And that's all the stuff we're working on right now